Okay. I would like to, Happy New Year. I'd like to call to order the January 5th, 2026 City Council meeting to order at 7 p.m. If you all rise for a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I saw neighbors standing up. Okay, tonight, Councilor President Tyler Miller is excused absence, traveling right now. Keep our eye on, he might log in if he gets to some service. Everybody else is present. So we're looking at tonight's agenda and I'm looking for approval, a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Councilor Haugen makes the motion to approve tonight's agenda as written. Any seconds?
Second.
Second by Councilor Santiago. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are on to public comment. This is the place on the agenda where the public is invited to speak to council regarding any matter not on the agenda and not scheduled for a public hearing. Members of the public addressing council are requested to give their name and city of residence. Please try not to repeat questions to allow for more speakers. Speakers are limited their testimony to 5 minutes as we are limited to 30 minutes total for all public comments. I do have one, Ms. Higas, if you'd like to go first.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Alicia Higas, and I'm a resident of Scappoose. Over the past year, I have appeared before this body multiple times to raise documented concerns regarding misconduct by the Scappoose Police Department, city staff, and failures of oversight by this council. I am not submitting this comment to restate everything that has already been placed on the record. Those concerns, documents, and statements already exist. What matters now is what has happened since and what has not. In the years since I first began raising these concerns, no city official has contacted me to clarify facts, initiate an investigation, or take corrective action. Instead of addressing the substance of the issues raised, responses following my public comments have included statements that sought to dismiss my concerns, discredit my credibility, or characterize my statements as untrue. The underlying issues themselves have never been addressed. At the same time, I have observed this body respond to other speakers, follow up with them, and in some cases, take action after their public comments. I am not assigning motive. I'm stating a pattern, and I'm placing that pattern on the record. Over the past year, I have brought forward evidence of serious misconduct, including the falsification of a child abuse hotline report, abuse of police authority, retaliation following protected speech, failure to investigate known wrongdoing, selective or non-enforcement of city ordinances, and false or misleading official statements. This is not a comprehensive list. It reflects only a portion of what has already been documented and submitted to this body. Despite repeated notice, no corrective action has been taken. The conduct I have raised implicates Oregon mandatory reporting laws, criminal statutes governing official misconduct and public records, whistleblower and anti-retaliation protections, city ordinances, the Oregon Constitution, and the United States Constitution, including protections for free speech, due process, and equal protection. These laws and rights have been identified and defined in prior comments. They remain unaddressed. What is the issue now is no longer a single incident or a single actor. It is the continued failure to act after being placed on notice. There is a well-known concept in social psychology called the bystander effect. It explains why people are less likely to intervene when wrongdoing occurs in plain view, especially when others are present. Responsibility becomes diffused. Each person assumes someone else will act or interprets inaction as a sign that action is not required. The result is silence, even in the face of serious harm. What we are seeing now is the same dynamic playing out in government. Falsified reports are allowed to stand. Serious matters go unreported. Laws are applied unequally. Retaliation follows those who speak out, and yet many watch without intervening. Some of those watching have never experienced unequal treatment under the color of law. They have never faced retaliation. They have never had a harmful police interaction, but they still know, or at the very least suspect, what is being raised is real. So the question becomes, why continue to stand by? You may believe this does not affect you. You may believe it is somebody else's problem, or that it will never reach your family. But systems that tolerate misconduct do not remain contained. It may be your neighbor, your friend, your spouse, your child, your parent, or someone you love. One day it will affect you. And when that day comes, what will matter most is whether someone spoke and whether those with the power to act chose to listen. I want to close with a warning written after the Holocaust by the late pastor Martin Niemöller about the consequences of silence. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. That warning exists because silence allowed harm to spread. Silence is not neutral, it is a choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment online or anywhere? Okay. Thank you. I will now end tonight's public comments period. And we're on to the consent agenda. And tonight we are looking at the December 15, 2025 City Council work session minutes and December 15, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. Looking for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda. Councilor Santiago makes a motion to approve. Any second?
Second.
Councilor Holmes makes a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. On to new business. Okay, tonight we're joined by Jolene Jonas. We are doing a discussion on library district bond to be placed on the May election ballot. I think you all have in front of you, or at least you have a handout. Okay, come on up to the microphone. And I do ask them to think about it while she's talking, entertaining an idea of supporting a resolution to support the levy or bond. And we'll discuss that after her thing, or maybe for next meeting. Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, thank you for inviting us to be here. I am Jolene Jonas. I am the leaving chair of the Scappoose Library Board. I will be on Lisa Lewis is taking over my job as chair, but she couldn't make it tonight. And Jeff's here with me, and also Virginia Fenstermaker is back there. She's on our team for this levy. We're here for two reasons tonight. First, we're here to tell you that in June of 2025, the Board of the Scappoose Public Library District voted to seek a 5-year temporary operating levy to meet increased demand for revenue. Voters in the library district will have a chance to vote on this ballot measure in the up and coming May 19th election. This temporary levy asks for 10 cents per $1,000 of assessed value for those 5 years. An example of that cost would be about $30 for property of a value of $300,000 assessed value, not market value. The library does have a permanent tax rate now of 25.36 cents per thousand, which was set when the library district was established over 30 years ago. Until now, the library district has never asked for additional revenue. Our library ranks 112th out of 137 Oregon libraries in per capita funding. We are in the bottom 20%, and we have received no funding from the city of Scappoose or from the county, Columbia County. Nearly 15% of the library's current bond budget comes from sources other than our permanent tax rate. Efforts are continually made, mostly with Jeff. We're looking for sponsorships, donations, to apply for grants, to stretch our dollars to meet our expenses. But these funding sources are unpredictable, unreliable, and less available as time has passed. Costs are now beyond what the library can afford with its current tax revenue. This levy is now necessary for us to continue at our current level of operations. Back when the Scappoose Library was started, the library provided a small collection of books to borrow. Since then, it has evolved and grown to meet the needs of our 21st century community. The Scappoose Library is a community hub and a resource for toddlers to seniors. We provide some examples: resources for long life learning for all residents of the library district, story time and literacy development opportunities for babies, toddlers, and preschoolers, an array of programs and activities for people of all ages, some offered every day of the year. We have special annual events that the community can participate in. Movie night's one of my favorites, and most of you come or help us there. He makes hamburgers, so.
Police bags.
Right. We have an inexpensive meeting room that can hold up to 75 people. We have free Wi-Fi and computers for students, job seekers, anyone who needs access. Information about events, services, news, all sorts of things happening in our extended community. Government forms, vaccine service, cultural passes to check out, local library historical archives, and opportunity to do genealogy research if you're interested. Interlibrary loans, curbside pickup. Every week we have fresh produce delivered on Wednesdays that we hand out here. A safe place to connect with other people, and so much more. The library is also open to the public 51 hours per week and is only closed on Sundays. When open, the library is a very busy place. Geographically, the library district is a smaller size than the school district. It includes all of Scappoose and then a small portion of Warren out to where Berg Road off of Highway 30 ends. We estimate there were about 99,000 registered voters in our district. It's unlikely a lot of them or most of them would vote in the primary election in May, but to pass the levy, we will need 50% plus one of the voters that do vote. And another interesting thing, or just a little bit about our volume, in 2017, when we found records, circulation, we had 52,000 items circulated in that year. In 2025, this year, 103,000, significant growth in activity. Programs that we have, 2017, we had about 3,500 programs. Now we have 18,000 programs that people can participate in. Attendance for the programs. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. And then just weekly programs that we have that we used to have only 2 weekly programs for school or adults. Now we have 5. And I think to me, the most interesting stat with all this growth that you've heard, our staff in 2017 was 5.1. Our staff today is still 5.1. So we've covered all of this without adding more staff. Everybody's working very hard. In fact, Scappoose Library circulates at least 30% more material than any other library in our county. There are 2 concurrent campaign efforts going on for this levy. We have an informational only levy and an advocacy vote yes effort. Jeff will be the executive director of the library, sorry. He will be responsible for the library information only campaign. We have a committee set up to be responsible for the advocacy and vote yes. I'm on that, Lisa Lewis, Virginia, who you've met, and Joel Haugen. We all are handling that, and those activities are ongoing. Our ballot title and our explanatory statement has been reviewed by legal counsel. We will have those documents approved by our library board in our meeting next week. So what will happen if this levy does not pass? The library will not be able to operate at its current level. The directors will be forced to make some tough decisions about staffing, hours of operation, the programs and services we offer to our community. The amount of available materials might be reduced. These things will be detrimental to our community in a number of ways. In essence, libraries are essential infrastructure to build stronger, healthier, and more equitable communities by ensuring everyone has access to opportunities and information. So I mentioned we had two reasons for being here tonight. The first one is to explain what's happening with the levy. So I hope you've heard those facts, and I will leave this report with Joe when we leave. The second is to ask you, this Scappoose City Council, unanimous public endorsement of this levy. We believe your endorsement would be very helpful to our campaign effort. Since our campaign is in a very tight timeline, we hope that you can do this in a short period of time. We believe this is a nonpartisan issue, one that has great benefit for our full community, and we would like to have your full support. Thank you for listening. Thank you for considering this. And do you have any questions?
Just a couple, now is this an operating levy?
Yeah.
For operating expenses?
Yeah,
I
no
written down
no
as a bond,
construction,
it's not a-
yeah.
And the decision to like Burton Road is the line, is there another library starts right after that, like St. Helens, somewhere else? Why a decision to do Berg and not the whole school district? Is that just something way back in the day they decided
Yeah.
to cut it off
Yeah,
there?
he's been around.
Is there a way of expanding it to Bennett Road, and bringing in more people? I mean-
The library district is defined, actually was by the city 30 plus years ago, or the county, but but we have legal property lines.
I
That's,
was wondering if that was the school district back 30 years ago. I don't know.
yeah, that's grown a lot, even to Sovey, right, and Warren, but this is we cover a very small area compared to that.
I don't think I had any more questions.
Mr. Mayor,
Counselor Haugen.
again, for full disclosure, I am on the committee to promote this. So I've got a bias there. So, but I would encourage you to move this forward as fast as you can. And I don't think, can we endorse this tonight, Ben? Or do we have to wait till the next meeting?
If you're doing it by resolution, we'd have to resolution to approve.
And I think, I think that still gives them time, and that gives public time to
Yeah.
put this on an agenda. If you guys are for at least looking at a resolution and maybe voting on it at the next meeting, I would work on getting something put together, and then we can discuss, and that gives public more time to support or not.
But I'd also like to emphasize a comment they made, is that over 30 years since this operating levy started, it's actually a lot closer to 40 years. So think of that. What hasn't changed in your life in the last 40 years, for costs? And yet the operating levy for the Scappoose Library has maintained that even keel despite all the extra work and all the extra programs. And so I think that should be a really interesting or important consideration as we go forward.
Yes.
So I just want to clarify a couple of things. You mentioned that the county and city has not provided any funding. Is it since in this year? Because I thought we did support this.
We support some of their events, the movies in the park, or some events, but not the operation of the library.
Were you, I'm just wondering if you ever sought that kind of funding or asked for that kind of funding support, or are you getting grants or?
Yeah,
other
that's where I
things?
mentioned in here, Jeff does a lot of that work on looking for donations and sponsorship and grants, but it's not out there like it used to be.
Right.
And the activities we're doing has grown so much.
And as a nonprofit, you probably would qualify under our CAP program, but you have, instead of asking for funds just for the library, you've used them for movies in the park or specific events. And I'm not sure what happened 5 to 10, 15 years ago, but lately, yeah, you haven't come and asked for any support.
And there's one more thing to consider is that, as we are all aware, the grant opportunities are shriveling up quickly. And that's going to impact the library big time as well. So school districts and everything. So while the service demands are increasing, the revenues are going this way. And so the more we can do to support this, I think the more favorite, the libraries are the crucial part of the community. So anything we can do, I think, is useful.
Okay.
Go ahead, Counselor Holmes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I agree with all of Yeah, the library is critically valuable to our community. I think there's even like an adult event there tonight that I was like, oh, that's interesting. Shrinky dinks. Like, I would maybe be there if I weren't here. But if you have said that we're in the bottom 20% of funding for libraries in the state, what are you doing to look at where like long-term changes could be made? Like, are we lacking? Are all the levers for funding being pulled that could be pulled outside of this type of levy?
The temporary levy is really the only thing accorded by Oregon law that's a possibility, because the permanent tax rate, which is 25.36 cents, was set back in the 80s. And in order to get a new permanent levy, you have to dissolve the current organization and reform and ask the voters to give you a new tax rate, which is very
Would that be like our
dangerous.
city tax rate, our permanent tax rate?
Right, yeah, they
It
fall under the same.
doesn't change, and if you do, then you have to do something like that.
Right.
Right, right, it's high risk. Yeah, so is that also what would be necessary to expand the boundary of the library district, the taxation district?
I'm not sure what the law is in the state here for that.
I would encourage you all to look at that as, you know, a longer term funding solution,
Yeah.
in addition to pursuing this as a short-term option.
I know that before I was hired in, there was an attempt by the libraries in the county to do like Washington County or Multnomah County, where you had one countywide library, and that did go to the voters and failed.
The rest of the libraries in our county, except for Clatskanie, are all city funded.
Yeah, we're the only.
So
Clatskanie.
if you're not in city limits of St. Helens, you're not, if you don't pay into their levy or their
That's
library.
correct.
So Bird Road, Millard Road, all the Warren people outside between St. Helens and, they're not covered by a library district.
That's correct.
Thank-
And they can still use and rent and do books without a library card type. I mean, they can still use the facilities.
They can use the facilities, yes.
Yeah, but echo Counselor Holmes, I do think there is a possibility to expand. I don't remember the rules. We kind of looked at that with our library district and other things in my last area. I don't remember the specifics. I think it just had to be, the areas not included had to go to the vote for them, and it had to be like a certain amount of them have to vote yes, and then they can get drawn in. I don't remember, so I would definitely encourage talking to an attorney about that, or the special districts, because I do think it is a possibility and could help with some of your permanent funding to expand some of that.
And maybe even asking for those that do participate in some of the community events, just what their zip code is and see kind of who we're pulling from and serving.
So kind of like with a thumbs up, kind of, are we good at looking at a resolution at next meeting? If I'll write one up, come up, I'll get her information. I'll use that. There's a bunch of them online, and come up with a resolution with the facts and stuff. The one question I did have, and I'm sure people are asking, comes up a lot, is compression on all these, the more and more levies. This would be, well, it could qualify potentially for a compression issue. And so we always want to be concerned about that. If it goes up over $10, they all kind of get compressed to a degree, and we were getting close to that, but I think we're okay at this point.
Is the city limits close to compression? Because we're not, the library district itself, the part that's in the county, is not in compression.
Right, yeah, mostly some areas in the city limits.
Mm.
But when it comes down to that, when compression happens, these local option levies get hit first before permanent tax rates are affected, from my understanding. So,
And the schools are not
Right, yeah.
affected.
right, and that's, yeah,
Yeah.
schools are separate from that. So, but yeah, they would still get a lot of their funding
Yeah.
from outside the city because their district expands out that they're not as close to
That
compression.
is another thing we can look at with Cascade Tissues issues and some things, compression kind of has changed.
Right.
But with school and with the county sheriff's levy, I'll have to relook at that just to see how close we are, I think. Okay, well, I think I've got pretty much a positive yes to at least look at something. I'll write something up. We'll put it on the agenda and vote on it at that time. It should be the January 20th meeting. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please. Okay, Moving on, number 3, Scappoose community events. We got Earth Day, Adventure Fest, Movies in the Park. JJ Duran, if you'd like to come up and let us know what our plans are this year. What your thoughts are. Jeff as well, again.
Couldn't do it without Jeffrey. Just a little, well, my name is JJ Duran. I am an original member of the Scappoose Parks Committee, which I believe was dissolved this year, maybe not. But so I have been doing the Movies in the Park since 2018. My background, those of you, most of you know that. What I did, I owned radio stations in Portland, had a national show on Clear Channel, had a TV show, did a lot of media, and probably did thousands of events at a pretty sophisticated level. So, you know, I've got a really successful company now here in Columbia County. So basically, I volunteer all of my time to do these events. And we rely on sponsors, but, you know, our big contributor is the city of Scappoose, because it really does benefit the city and the citizens. And it's been, the 3 events we've done have grown every year. It all started out with Movies in the Park back in 2018. And that basically is an event that we do free movies every Friday in August. They are family friendly, but they also have to be good movies. So we actually spent a lot of time and thought deliberating what, you know, would be a fun movie for folks to participate in. A lot of stuff is very interactive. Last year, our closer with Wicked, we had people dress up as their favorite Wicked character. And I came up with the idea to do a thing called Pizza Bingo with Flatanos, and we have live music. So it's very, there's a lot more depth to it than a typical movie in the park. So usually, like in Portland with Movies in the Park, you just show up, sit, watch a movie, but we kind of do the full meal deal. And so we've got that. We also put on the Earth Day celebration. I dress up as Mother Nature, which I don't know if it's a good thing or bad, but the kids seem to like it. And we give away a free electric bike and lots of prizes to really encourage people to be, you know, take care of Mother Earth and our parks and our outdoor spaces. And then last year was our second year of doing the Outdoor Fun Festival. We're going to do that again this year in June. I think what's the date that we?
You have June 6th on your flyer.
Okay, that's the date. That's the date. It's been really busy for me, but anyway, so it's June 6th, and we're planning on doing it from 9 to 3 this year, because 9 to 5 was just exhausting. But we have great turnouts for these events for a couple of reasons. Because I work for free, that means that we have to still financially support the library, which costs, you know, with all of our expenses, including the staff the library has to provide and everything that we have to provide to put on these events, it's right around $20,000. Okay.
Paying the people to come and perform.
Right. Yeah. Right. So we're asking for 20,000 to do all, well, actually, it's going to be what, 6 events this year, or? Well, you got 4 movies, 6 events. And people really love it. The other thing that I think is really important about this event is that we make it very low cost and very fun. You know, my whole thing is that there's no politics, no religion, just fun. And I work with a number of community partners. The Grocery Outlet works with us to get hot dogs and burgers free or at a very low cost. So that food we actually give away on Earth Day while supplies last. For the Movies in the Park, we do dollar dogs and dollar burgers. And soft drinks for $1. I think the movie candy's like maybe $2. But we do a lot of community partnerships to actually make that happen. We work closely with Community Club. Obviously, the library is a really big part. The city of Scappoose has played a really major role in this event. And it also, you know, it really allows families from all walks of life to really get out and enjoy their summer. to have things that are low cost or free are a real rarity in our economy right now. And, it was a little heart-wrenching last year when we would see families show up for movie night, with a bunch of kids and figuring, well, this is how they're getting dinner tonight. And so it's important that we do things like this because I think more than ever, we really need to really help each other so that we can have the best quality of life that we can in the city.
Thank you very much, Jeff and JJ. I do really appreciate it. They are great events. We've been relying on a lot of people to bring the city together with events, and these are three great ones. One thing I meant to ask, and I forgot, is how much we have been giving for each event, because I know they have applied in the CEP for various monies for movies in the park. Some here it might only be $1,000 per screen, or Earth Day it might be very little. So I know we have budgeted or put in $10,000 or $11,000 for the Adventure Fest out the Fun Festival.
I think there's 12,000 total
Oh, 12.
for all the events that we typically put in the budget. You could verify that.
Well, and just kind of a side note, when you had another company doing this, you were paying them $100,000 for one event. So not saying that that's bad.
Last year, we got 10,800 for Outdoor Fun Festival and 5,000 through CEP for movies in the park.
During the CEP, the community enhancement.
And then I also work to get sponsorships. So, we have some really great sponsors. We have Les Schwab, Grocery Outlet, Fred Meyer, Fultano's. I mean, it's that's the other thing, because there's not a lot of these activities in the city of Scappoose. It's great exposure for our local businesses. And they also really participate. It was really heartening to see Dave from Les Schwab this last year not only give us a very generous donation, but he also showed up every night at movie night, bringing the popcorn machine for the families to get popcorn for $1.
And I would hope now too, with new owners of Scappoose Bay Marina, that we
Yes.
should hopefully be able to partner a little bit more with them,
Yes.
because that is really a good fit for the outdoor fun.
And for the Outdoor Fun Fest, yes, you're absolutely right. So I'm excited because I worked very hard to get Next Adventure, and actually Deke and his partner used to advertise on my radio stations, but we didn't know that they were selling. So that was the situation with that. I'm planning on getting mushroom foragers and talking about mushrooms that you can eat and not die from. We had last year we had a chainsaw artist, which I think had mixed reviews. I mean, I think people liked it. Community Club was really crazy about it because it was right next to their food booth, but he actually had some great activities that he was doing with that. We have the Oregon equestrians that show up. We had the Sandy horsemanship stable there. We have a number of other groups that we have and I apologize, it's been a very long day. Scappoose Bay Watershed shows up, and so the Bird Alliance, which used to be the Portland Audubon Society, is a big supporter of our events. And, by giving away really great prizes. So like I said, for Earth Day, we do the electric bike giveaway. For Earth Day, we do kayaks and outdoor gear. And then for movies in the park, well, we got pizza bingo. So it's, people really enjoy doing those things, and the live music, I think we've improved on every year. It's kind of funny, little caveat. When we first did movies in the park, I would actually go on Craigslist and put in an ad and say, can you play music for free? And it was for free. So the quality of our music is a heck of a lot better now. And we're just, really pleased to be able to support the community. Really excited that the police department, Chris and his crew, just do an amazing job. Every event, they bring more great stuff for kids. I mean, they are just knocking it out of the park. So, it's just a really fun event, and I think people love it.
One question, do you have a spot for donations there? I mean, because with like Whoville, you get a lot of people from outside of the city.
Right.
So we're giving free stuff to St. Helens and Columbia County and all over really to
Mhm.
come to that. And having at least a donation bucket or something to help alleviate. I know Whoville raises quite a bunch throughout the year, and they get a lot of people from all over. Throwing a few bucks in here and a few bucks in there, and it kind of adds up too.
We could do that as well. I guess obviously my big concern, and I think it's a concern for a lot of citizens, is the fact that grocery prices have more than doubled for people. Many people are losing their basic benefits. And so we can certainly put a donation bucket out there, but I think the whole feel of these things is that everybody's welcome. Everybody should be able to eat something and not feel like they can't enjoy an event because they don't have the money to do that.
Are you able, I don't know, at any one event or all of them is putting up a little thing too, of keeping track of where people are coming from? Like
That's
three
a
people from St. Helens, just
So,
so we get an idea.
yeah, actually, what's interesting, I don't have that. I was able to track it. I do a lot of social media promotion on these events, and we get a surprising amount of people from the Portland area, St. Helens, and other areas that are tracking on our social media efforts. So it's really good. I think, and I think what's interesting too is that, so I used to have a farm in Sylvia's Island, so I'm really good friends with the Eggers that have the pumpkin patch. And, it's like people are really like coming out to this area, going out to Sylvia's Island, doing that type of a thing. And then, it's like, and then they go to St. Helens. And so now in Scappoose, we actually have these activities that people can participate in and just kind of add it to their whole experience along Highway 30. Another thing that I thought was fascinating, well, Joel and I both worked really hard on getting the fuel tax passed for the city, but we're seeing a lot more traffic on Highway 30 going to the coast, in part because Highway 26 has a lot of problems. They basically have a speed bump where you can watch cars go and jump as they're heading to the coast, and that's not going to get resolved anytime soon. So I think highlighting, that pathway to go to the coast and experience a lot of things that we have is a really important part of this as well.
Anybody else with anything? Questions? Maybe we can discuss at a later time and see where we are on the budgets, because I know that is coming up and we've been
Mr.
talking
Mayor, I
about.
do have one question. Jeff, you said, so last year, there was, you got 5,000 for movies in the park and then 10,800 for Adventure Fest?
Yeah.
Okay, so all told, you got 15,800 then. Right.
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 And really, the $5,000 for the movies is what we have to pay for the movies.
Right.
So they're not free.
The CEP.
And that is a program we look at several nonprofits every year and make decisions on. So it's not guaranteed that it will be 5 again this year, or we've been talking about it. So it's one that will be coming up here in the next month or two. So I think it's something we got to look at, because we're looking at funding all around and cuts and stuff. So we'll have to add this to the list too, to kind of make sure we can keep these things running.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, one
Yes.
question.
Oh.
So it does look like you've secured your dates for Earth Day and the Adventure Fest. So that's the April 25th and June 6th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so when do you, from a fiscal planning perspective, when do you need some financial commitments?
Soon. We plan these things for the summer, but we have to, well, Jeff could say.
What we need is a commitment for funds, not necessarily the funds themselves immediately, because we do have an operating budget that we can run through. But without having definite funding, it really does affect how big of an event we can put on and what kind of structure the event can have, if we're going to do all 6 events.
I would also say, the thing's interesting. So my company is actually based in St. Helens, and it's really been amazing how St. Helens has transformed, I would say, like really in the last 3 years. And a lot of that is having consistent events at that location. So I think there's a really big benefit to it. And I think the same could be said for Vernonia. they've really grown as well. So there's the benefit for the community, but there's also the benefit for the city as far as economic development and just, having a better perspective on, attracting people to this area.
So I guess I would ask just for their benefit, for being able to make some commitments and plan that we do make a decision on this probably no later than the first February meeting.
That's something that we're going to discuss. I thought we were going to discuss the retreat. Are we not?
Right, so the first February meeting would be after the retreat.
That'd be
And
perfect.
if we can talk about it more. I mean, at this point, there is a budget line item for $12,000,
Yeah,
Ish.
that was somewhere around there.
somewhere around there for the festival. And then a grant program comes up, I think, in May,
Right.
for, which would be like movies in the park.
And I'd like to encourage council to consider expanding beyond what we do into more city events, maybe partnering with some other organizations. Because JJ's right. I mean, it has made a huge difference in Vernonia and in St. Helens. And it's jump-started the redevelopment of the St. Helens downtown and waterfront. And that's what we need to do here.
Well, I know, yeah, I agree. A lot of little events really add up, and with the community club in the winter and Whoville and all that too. And not necessarily a lot of financial, but a lot of help, a little bit financial, but we definitely want to keep these groups running these because we don't have the manpower and stuff to put these together at this time. All right, discuss it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We are now on to number 4, We're looking at ordinance number 924, an ordinance approving annexation of property to the city of Scappoose and amending the zoning map and minor partition. This is a quasi judicial hearing statement, so I am going to read this. I'm calling this public hearing to order to consider an application for annexation, zone change, and minor partition. The procedure for this hearing will follow a strict format. Testimony and evidence must address the criteria that apply to the decision as described in the staff report or to the criteria the person testifies believes to apply to the decision. Persons may speak only after being recognized by the mayor and must come forward to the microphone and state their name and city for the record. Only testimony that is relevant to the application will be considered. Immaterial or repetitious testimony will not be allowed, and time limits will be imposed if testimony is irrelevant or repetitious. The failure to raise and clarify any issue to afford all parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeals to the Land Use Board of Appeals. The council will conduct this hearing in a quasi-judicial capacity. In other words, like a court trial where the council serves as finders of fact. There shall be no audience demonstration or other conduct which would disrupt the hearing. Does any council member wish to declare an ex parte contact or conflict of interest regarding this matter? Does any party wish to challenge any councilor's impartiality or legal capacity to participate in this matter? The order of the hearing will be the staff report, then the applicant's presentation, then the other proponents, then opponents, then rebuttal by the applicant, then a staff response. Thereafter, the hearing will be closed for consideration of the matter by the council. Approving this application would require the adoption of an ordinance for which we'll follow the standard ordinance adoption procedure. We'll start with the staff report, Assistant to City Manager and City Planner, NJ Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor Council. So as the mayor went through in that statement, this is a land use hearing, so it'll take a more formal approach than a lot of our other things we talk about at council, just to keep it all within the box and above board. So I'm going to begin by going over the subject site information of the staff report and then the observations. I'm going to list the page numbers that refer to the approval criteria for the proposed development, and then also let you know the page numbers that correspond to the recommended conditions of approval. And then I will let you know the Planning Commission and staff's recommendation on this matter. After that point, we will pause in case there are any questions for staff before we have an opportunity to hear from the applicant team who is in the back row tonight. Okay, beginning with subject site. The subject site consists of 2 existing tax lots, where tax lot 3000 is 0.75 acres and tax lot 3100 is 1.3 acres, totaling 2.05 acres for the whole site. Tax lot 3000 contains a single-family residence, manufactured home, a shop, 2 paved driveway paths connecting to gravel paths, and then some trees. 3100 contains a single-family residence, a shop, gravel driveway path, and then some trees. Neither tax lot 3000 or 3100 are currently connected to municipal utilities. Tax lot 3100 is experiencing a failing septic system at the moment and desires to connect to city sewer as a way to remedy this, whereas tax lot 3000 desires to connect to both city sewer and water. North of the subject site is Southeast Elm Street, and to the north of that is Southeast Tusing Way and 2 rows of single-family homes, making up a portion of the Tusing subdivision. West and east of the subject site are more single-family homes platted as the Elm Crossing subdivision and Cascade Meadows subdivision. South of the site is a large residential property with a house and several outbuildings. The site is currently in the urban growth boundary and making it eligible for annexation and zoned by Columbia County as single-family residential, which they call R10. It's designated by the Scappoose Comprehensive Plan map as suburban residential. The properties to the north and east of the site are in city limits and zoned R4 under our zoning and are designated suburban residential as well. Properties to the west and south of the site are also in city limits, but they're zoned R1 and designated suburban residential on the comp plan map. The site does not have any sensitive lands like floodplain, wetlands, slope hazards, or watercourses. Annexation zone change. The applicant is requesting approval of an annexation that would annex both parcels into city limits. The parcels are currently in the UGB and eligible for annexation according to the Development Code and Comprehensive Plan. The subject site is currently zoned R10 by Columbia County, as I mentioned, and with its comp plan designation of suburban residential, it would automatically be scheduled to come into city limits under R1 zoning upon annexation. The site is currently in the UGB, but surrounding properties in city limits in each direction. Annexing this site would eliminate an island of unincorporated property, promote desirable urban form, and continue the organic progression of the city. They're also requesting a approval of a minor partition and a preliminary partition plat approval to partition only tax lot 3000 into 2 lots to establish separate parcels for the existing single-family home and manufactured home. The lots are proposed to be 24,503 square feet and 6,500 square feet. The partition request does not create any new streets, nor does it exceed 4 lots in the amount that it's creating, so it's not considered a major partition or a subdivision. Given that the minor partition is consolidated with the annexation, the minor partition will be processed by the city, subject to city standards, since the parcel will be annexed if the city approves it. Right-of-way public improvements. All proposed parcels of the subject site front Elm Street, and this section of Elm Street is classified by our transportation plan as a neighborhood route, which requires 60 feet of right-of-way width, which is then comprised of 36 feet of travelway, 2 5.5-foot planter strips, 2 6-foot sidewalks, and 2 6-inch utility areas. The Elm Street right-of-way is primarily 50 feet wide with a 29-foot paved width. There are sidewalks around, so both north of the site and then to the east and west along the frontage. There are sidewalks, but there are no sidewalks on the applicant's frontage. So they would be required then to continue this, the existing path of sidewalks to city standards, which again would be 6 feet with curb and gutter along the entire frontage. And they're also proposing 2 new driveway approaches. They're also proposing to, since just installing sidewalks would leave some grass, they're proposing to, from curb to existing pavement, they're proposing to connect the pavement together as one to continue a full street improvement. The applicant is proposing to install a sidewalk. I went through that. The applicant will be required by the recommended conditions of approval to dedicate 10 feet of tax lot 3100 as right-of-way, or record a sidewalk easement in an area that would be dedicated that allows for the public to use the sidewalk as public walkway as if it were in the right of way. So this is a scenario where the lot that's being partitioned, we are allowed to require a dedication. But for the lot that's just annexing, it's not considered development in the same sense. So we don't have the teeth to require dedication. But they are building a sidewalk through it. So they have the option to either dedicate or have a public walkway easement so that the public can use it as a sidewalk. Under utilities, there is currently a 15-inch PVC sewer main in Elm Street, as well as a 12-inch concrete sewer main that extends south from the 15-inch main and through the rear yards of the parcels to the west of the subject site. This is more than what I just said. This is more clearly evidenced on Exhibit 4C, which is 130 of the packet. You can kind of see that the sanitary line goes along the eastern rear yards of the lots to the west. And so their contractor is going to take a look at this in the field and determine what's more cost effective between going to routing it all the way down the flagpole portion of the flag lot, or simply going through the backyard and connecting directly there. For storm, there's a 24-inch PVC storm main in Elm Street. The applicant is proposing to relocate and install one new catch basin to the west of the driveway serving parcel 2 as required. Runoff will be directed towards this relocated catch basin, complying with our standards. There's currently an 8-inch cast iron water main in Elm Street. The applicant proposes to install 2 new water laterals from the main to serve parcels 1 and 2. These are the parcels created from the partition, but as I mentioned, the flag lot is not connecting to city water at this time, nor are they required to just because they're annexing. Landscaping, screening, and street trees. The applicant is proposing to plant autumn brilliant serviceberry street trees, which is a species on our approved street tree list. Autumn brilliant serviceberries are 25 feet tall and 20 feet wide at maturity, requiring them to be spaced 20 feet apart on the center with a planting width greater than the required 6 feet, which is what the applicant is proposing. Public and private agencies, the City of Scappoose City Manager, Public Works Director, and Police Chief, Columbia County Public Works Director, Planning Director, and Building Official, Scappoose Rural Fire Protection District, and Columbia River PUD have been provided an opportunity to review and comment on the proposal, and the city engineer's comments are incorporated throughout this report. City of Scappoose Public Works Director, the Columbia County Building Official, Columbia River PUD, and the Columbia County Planning Director all provided similar comments and stated that they've reviewed it and have no objections as long as the applicant is meeting our standards. The Columbia County Public Works Department, so Elm Street is considered a county road for the portion that it's on, so we provided them an opportunity to comment on this proposal. They stated that they would require each parcel created through the land use action to obtain a new access permit for the driveways created. That's something standard that you do on all county roads, is have an access permit. Additionally, the county is requiring that the applicant improve the Elm Street frontage to City of Scappoose standards, which we've discussed they're already proposing doing, and obtain a right-of-way permit from Columbia County for any work completed in the right-of-way. The county's comments clarified that these requirements will only be enforced if this section of Elm Street is found to be a county-owned road currently and after the parcels are annexed into city limits. These requirements have been incorporated into the recommended conditions of approval. What that means is when we raise this to the county, they a little bit questioned if this portion of Elm Street actually is. So we went back to documents from the 1930s, and we're currently working it out now. But regardless, either way, it's not really that big of a difference because any property that's in the UGB is under a UGB growth management agreement. And so they essentially know it's going to come into city limits at some point. And so they just follow our standards for road improvements. So it's kind of a moot point. It's really just who is doing the permitting for the right of way and if they're going to have to do an access permit if it's a county road. Notice of the application and hearings was mailed to property owners within 300 feet of the site on December 1st, 2025, posted in the November 28th, 2025 edition of the Columbia County Spotlight, and posted on the subject site in accordance with Chapter 17.162. As of today, no public comments have been submitted, and the final comment, or the final deadline to submit written comment was Friday at 5 p.m. Moving to the findings of fact, staff's findings related to Scappoose Municipal Code Chapter 12.10, visual clearance areas, can be found on pages 61 through 62 of your packet. 17.01 introduction, 62 and 63. 17.22 amendments to the title, comprehensive plan, and maps, pages 63 and 64. 17.44 low density residential, pages 64 through 67. 17.104 street trees, pages 67 through 69. 17.136 annexation, 69 through 72. 17.152 land divisions, major and minor land partitions and property line adjustments, 72 through 77. 17.154 street and utility improvement standards, 77 through 84. 17.162 procedures for decision making quasi judicial, pages 84 through 88. Comprehensive plan policies for the urban growth boundary, page 88. And then lastly, Oregon Administrative Rules, Chapter 660, Division 12, Transportation Planning, pages 89 and 90. Based on the findings of fact and the materials submitted by the applicant, staff and a unanimous vote of the Planning Commission recommend that the City Council approve annexation 125, zone change 225, minor partition 125, subject to the conditions of approval listed on pages 90 through 93. At this time, I can take any questions you'd like to ask staff before we get into the applicant's presentation.
Just real quick for clarification or put on the record, this would normally have been a staff decision except for
The annexation and zone change. So if it were just a partition, yes, that's correct.
the petition, and that would have been had to be due through the county because it wasn't a.
Right, and they couldn't
Yeah.
get the lots that small in the county anyway.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. For the information here. Okay, so that's staff presentation. Then we have an applicant presentation. And just mind to speak really clearly into the microphone so it's a good recording and everyone online can hear.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Chase Berg. I am with Lower Columbia Engineering representing the applicant. Before you, as NJ had kind of described, this is for an annexation and partition application. The catalyst for this application was largely a failing septic system on the southern lot. And kind of with the northern lot, the partition was largely to assist with financial funds to get through the application process. Largely, I'm here to just answer questions as necessary. It's a fairly straightforward application with a lot of details that, as NJ described, there's a lot of details with this one. So happy to help with any questions that may come up.
One I did have, I mean, the one lot is not choosing to hook up to water.
Correct. The one that's annexing and the southern lot is not.
But that can be done at a later time. I mean, everything will be there at the street, I would assume.
NJ could probably clarify, but there'd be nothing that would preclude them from hooking up at any time. in the
But at this
future.
time, is there a well on site? They have a well?
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct, though.
And kind of we did with the Dutch Canyon, the northern one has a well at this time as well. But when it gets hooked to city water, they have to close off the well or at least discontinue it. So there wouldn't be any potential contamination.
Right.
That's normal.
So the city picks up the tab on hooking into the sewer line for both of these, and then we recoup from sewer fees. Is that how this works?
So what they would do is at the time of their building permits, which is the plumbing permit to connect, they would pay SDCs to connect into the system. And then there's also connection fees on top of that. So they'd be subject to all of that. And I'm pretty sure that's one of the conditions of this approval.
And then everything once on the property end, they're paying for as well.
Yeah, all the improvements, and there's not really much on-site development other than the utility connection. The partition is just a line on paper, but yeah, it's all in the applicant. There's no cost that the city is fronting on this.
And almost everything around it is city. I mean,
Yeah.
there's water, sewer on most lots all the way around it. Any more questions? Okay, thanks. Is that it for the application? Both applicants are all, that's the applicant presentation?
So yeah, on the back, yes, for staff and applicant, and then on the back, you'll see the order
Yeah.
for the following steps of the hearing.
And now testimony and support, neutrality and opposition. So is there testimony and support? Any property owners want to testify in support? Anybody neutral? Any opposition? Easy one. Rebuttal by the applicant. And staff response? Or anything else you like to add? Any more? So at this time, I will close the public hearing. Tells me I got to do that. And then council deliberation. We've had a couple of these now in the last 3 years, and this, again, you covered to me all the I's and T's, and pretty straightforward. And I drove by there today and this weekend, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think everything, the staff report, staff recommendation, the planning commission recommendation, everything answered a lot of questions. I think you guys feel very comfortable at this time
Indeed,
with
yeah.
everything that they've offering. So anything else before I ask for a vote?
Mr. Mayor, I have a motion.
Councilor Haugen,
I move council adopt ordinance 8924, thereby approving ANX 1-25, CC 2-25, MIP 1-25, and accepting the findings and conditions of approval within the planning commission staff report dated December 4th, 2025 as written.
I have a motion by Councilor Haugen to adopt ordinance 924, thereby approving Annex 1-25, CZ-2-25, MIP 1-25, and accepting the findings and conditions of approval within the planning commission staff report dated December 4th, 2025 as written. Any seconds? Second by Councilor Santiago. Any more? Okay, we'll leave it at that point. It is a public hearing, so we will have one more meeting and make a final vote on that. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Lori. Okay. We are down to our calendar. Ready? That's in my book. January 2026, we are already on January 8th. We have a scheduled planning commission at 7 p.m. followed by EDC January 15th at noon. City offices closed January 19th. City council meeting 7 p.m. I believe we have a work session scheduled at 6 p.m. and a planning commission meeting scheduled on January 22 at 7 p.m. Update, city manager Ben Bergener.
Doing pretty good today.
Yeah,
Yes.
me and Kim have a.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
The major, I guess, update that we're working through for the council, if you didn't see the emails or haven't heard, the Columbia Economic Team was set to dissolve their organization as of January 15th. They ended up dissolving the staff out of there by December 31st. Instead for, operational reasons and tax and closeout reasons. So we are working with them to figure out a way to move their programs that they have forward in the county. One of those proposals involves the city in helping or taking over some of those programs. So we're trying to look out and vet out what that would look like. The biggest thing that I would be interested in is just to make sure the council is okay with us pursuing those options. The idea would be that it wouldn't have a financial cost to us for the programs we take, other than we would be taking on their grants that they have and looking for ways to move forward with what they're, it's kind of just moving because they don't have that leadership anymore with their executive director. We don't have a formal proposal at this time, but I am working. I had meetings with the PUD today. I did talk with Tony Hyde, who's helping dissolve the CET, the Port, St. Helens, and the county as well. We're just looking at different options to kind of find what would be best, who is best set up to do something like that, to have the continuity of for our businesses and the programs that we're offering our businesses both here and throughout the county. So it's a great opportunity, I think, for us. Definitely goes along with our goal 4 and helps us. It could help us internally as well, to buoy up some of the things that we're doing with our thriving economy. The reason that they reached out to Scappoose were because of some of the staffing's past experience, the team that we already have up, as well as that some of these programs involve Olympic, which is at our back door as well. So there's just a lot of geographical / experience side that makes us a possible good fit for that. And so it's something that we're working through as one of the stronger options. So still to be determined what that looks like. We bring a formal proposal back once we get that sorted out. I just wanted to, I talked to the mayor, I talked to a little bit about the president. I had a council president, just had a conversation a little bit about that, and they were those conversations on board. But I wanted to update the rest of the council, make sure everybody else would also be on board, or if you have any questions about that.
Yeah, I think maybe for some of our newer ones too, understanding of what CET is, Columbia Economic Team, what they've been providing. I've been on the board, I guess, since I think we're representing Scappoose. And the big 3, employees, they have the SBRC, Small Business
Resource Center.
Keep It Local with Sierra Trask. She does a lot of the Keep It Local information. And Nella Well and Nagel Spa has been running the tourism side of it. And those are the kind of the 3 big arms, and as well as retention, recruitment of businesses. And when you saw Project Sprint, Project Spice, they were kind of behind that, really working with Business Oregon, bringing economic development to our city and to our county. And so it's a big loss that we've kind of lost that, but still good opportunities for us to maybe bring some of those arms into us in St. Helens, so the county can still continue, because they've done a lot of money. They got over $750,000 grants for the incubator project from OMIC. They've helped receive a bunch of grants for these programs. So we'd really like to see them continuing in some way. So I'm still learning as kind of we go what our options are.
Right, there are a lot of irons in the fire and a lot of things that could determine how it ends up. A lot of the grant funders have to be okay with transferring some of those grants over to the organization, so they have to be okay with the organization being proposed. The CET board needs to be okay with the proposal, as well as our member support organizations to be okay with it. So there's the external forces that have a lot of pieces to play of what that might look like, and then also internal if we have the capacity and the structure to make it happen as well. So if that was the final proposal. So more than anything, just that's the route I started having those discussions when I heard about it. I just wanted to make sure that the council is okay with or on board with that, because I want to make sure we have a real proposal if you're okay with it.
Yeah, one of the big ones they've been doing actively is the power project on bringing power and power to the county. And so that's got to hopefully continue. That's been a big issue here of lack of power. And they are our enterprise zone manager.
Right.
So
We're gonna have to redesignate that.
We'd have to
Anyways.
do.
What was the impetus for their resolving?
There stated was some financial and operational concerns. That is the note that they sent out.
And maybe we can, we'll get it to everybody, their statement, their official statement, every issues they were having, and so we kind of understand better. Okay. Great. Keep us posted. I'm sure we'll discuss it something more at our retreat.
Everybody so far okay with concerns? Okay, perfect. Also the retreat, February 7th on the calendar, week after this calendar shows, just a reminder for that. And
Where is it going to be?
Scappoose Middle School.
Oh, the middle school.
yeah, those are the major updates I have tonight. So
I have a question about the retreat. We have kind of thrown a lot of things into the agenda, so I mean, it seems like it's really heavy. And I'm just wondering if we are able to cover all of the things that we've kind of like, oh, we'll talk about retreat, we'll talk about retreat. So
We're looking at, we're gonna time it out. I mean, the initial goal setting should be a little bit quicker than last year, because last year we started really grassroots and built up, and we'll do some of that again, where we kind of do a summary, especially for the newer counselors of where we're at. Then it'd be reviewing our current ones as opposed to trying to start fresh and see what we want to add or change to what we currently have. So that part should go a little quicker. So yeah, we're looking at that and still evaluating what that might look like, and we'll have a better idea at the next meeting if we need to adjust anything for. We'll talk to the council about that.
and again, what was it, February
7th,
7th? That's right.
Saturday, I believe that's the 7th.
I had a question about, JJ mentioned that the Parks Committee is dissolved now. What happened there?
It hasn't formally been dissolved. It's been, so last January, we had talked with the council. There wasn't really a lot for them to do. We didn't have a direction, or the council did not have a direction of anything current. They had already wrapped up the Parks Master Plan. And so until we had a further direction, we just stopped the meetings for now, if we're going to keep it or not. So that's the last, and then from there, the last council discussion was, as soon as we have looking at something to replace it, or that direction, will formalize it. So, I mean, that is the current direction. It just hasn't, I guess, formally been done.
There's nothing in the city code that requires it.
No. No, we're looking at different, before you had come on, we're looking at different committee structures and what they would look like, whether it's a council committee, a staff committee, legislative or not, and just trying to figure out what we have and what programming we have in the city, what support we need that would best work, because there are some limitations with the council committees that make it hard to put things into action beyond just recommendations. So there was discussion from both committee members and the council of, can we do this a better way, or are there things that we could maybe relook at this? So
Maybe something we could put on the retreat.
it's already there.
Okay, Chief Llewellyn.
All right, good evening, Mayor, councilors, and Happy New Year. Also those in attendance and those watching online too. Not too much for police department. I'm super excited that in roughly less than a month, we have our 2 new officers back here with us to start their field training process. Next week, we'll have local scout troop visiting, hosting them at the police department. So super excited about that, just to continue that, meet people in our community. This upcoming Wednesday, I've been part of the Columbia County Traffic Safety Committee for roughly about 3 years now. So I'll be attending that. We get a lot of stakeholders throughout the county to come together to talk about traffic safety issues, which caveats my next thing is just, for those watching and everyone, just please slow down from town. We had a pretty bad traffic crash today. Luckily, nobody seriously injured. But just try to mind the speed limit and going through town, especially during lunchtime. So on Highway 30, but besides that, that's really all I have, pending any questions. Besides that, thank you, and look forward to a good 2026.
Thank you very much.
I've
Traffic
got
safety.
Yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say on traffic safety, I gotta talk about liaisons too, maybe, and have them set for our next meeting. So look over what you've been liaison for last year and decide if we need to make changes. Cause we used to have a traffic safety person in the local
Yes,
traffic safety, and I don't know if we do anymore or if we need to, but
Right.
Yeah.
We had those quarterly meetings on a city level,
Yeah.
Mayor. It used to be, I believe, former councilman Friends did a great
Yeah.
job. I don't know if he's been replaced though.
yeah, okay, I'll look at that one. Great. Councilor Sungin.
Just one update on those block cameras. I did reach out. I heard that our Senator Wyden has some kind of legislation going on. He's in the midst of that. And so I know that some cities have kind of paused on those cameras. I'm just wondering what the updates on it on our end.
Yes, no problem at all. So still haven't heard anything. I applied through a grant through through our Homeland Security Committee. Haven't heard anything back from them yet, if we've been approved from that. And a lot of the questions that I had and were brought up with many people through our community was something that I had a conversation with about them. I think I addressed those last time about ensuring we have positive control of it and we can access our cameras and what levels and things like that. So if we do proceed on forward and get the grant, there's something that I do believe that our citizens and the council should be informed of. And they do have a liaison in Flock that do things such as city council meetings where you can ask all these detailed questions and something we go forward. So I do think it'll be a good resource for certain things like stolen cars and Amber Alerts and stuff like that too. But I also know that the concerns we have our current environment. So I think it'd be great to bring everybody together if we can make a decision together as a community. So going forward, that's where we're at right now. And once I get information back, I will let everybody know.
Okay, thank
I
you.
would think too, if we do get a grant, it's probably a pretty quick turnaround time where we have to get an approval. So have everything lined up, whether we need someone call, but I do want to have a little bit of community involvement,
Agreed.
so they can understand. So have it kind of lined up that if we do get it, when we have a work session, when we have them come and talk, when we have any kind of something, so that way we might have to act on it pretty quickly if we're going to accept it.
Yes,
Can we cover at the retreat?
recommend not.
Everything from this forward.
We also have a town meeting coming up
Yeah.
shortly thereafter, so we have that as well. Student Rep. Tyler?
Oh, wait, I've got a question
please,
for
sorry.
Ron.
Yes, sir.
I didn't see an update that you usually have in these packets for this meeting. But I thought I remembered that last month, it looked as though traffic stops had tripled over last year for the month.
I would have to double check. And usually I think those are towards a second council meeting for each month. So that's why you don't see it right now, Counselor. I will have to double check I don't know off the top of my head, to be quite frank with you.
I'm pretty sure that's what the figures were. Maybe it was a typo, but would there be any reason for that happening? Was there a special focus on traffic?
Good question. I would say it really goes back to our staffing. I've been with the police department for roughly about 3 years now, and we had me around 4, 5 operational officers at that time, sworn officers. Now we're looking at 10 higher with the police department too as well. And different levels of people being on leave and stuff like that too. So I anticipate we'll continue to see increased focus on that too as well here in the city of Scappoose as we continue to hire more people and hopefully just make our community safer. So
Do you see that on there? You see a big jump in something?
looking at it right now, it looks like more of a decrease when it comes down to it. If you're looking at the traffic stop section from this document here.
Oh, well, we'll see it in 2 weeks. Were you finished, Mr. Chief?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
All right.
Appreciate your
Questions?
time.
Okay. Student Rep. Tyler.
Hello, everybody. I was able to meet up with NJ and Ben and Joel to talk about what a youth council would actually look like in the community, and compared to like everyone else, like Hillsborough and the Happy Valley, they're on a much bigger scale. And so I think we identified that we don't really need that big of a scale, but more are like focusing on specific parts that they don't necessarily focus on. Like a lot of the other councils have operations like proposed resolutions and like policy. And personally, I don't think we came to the conclusion that that wasn't necessarily the thing that we needed to focus on. And so looking forward, we have a meeting or meeting at the school. I think Joel and NJ were going to come. That's on the 14th of January. I have a couple people who are looking to show up, and I'm hoping that we can get, I think it's Day at the Capitol. I don't know if anyone else here is planning on attending that, but I'm hoping I'm going to look, talk with the school, see like if I need like a field trip form or something like that, or if it's just like, you know, get some people together, carpool, skip school, I guess, for a city event. I'm going to talk more about that with like the principal and other people tomorrow, but I'm excited for the 14th. Right now, I'm kind of just looking at what are the areas that we need, that this like council would serve city council the best. So maybe for the retreat, thinking about and like with the goals and priorities, what are some areas that you think could be served by a younger perspective? I was thinking like more community engagement side, and I think that's something that we can do, that I can do, and I can help people carry on that. But just keeping that in mind for, I guess the retreat would come up before that, or the next council meeting be like on the 20th. But any of those times. But yeah, I'm looking hopeful, or I'm hoping that it'll turn out well.
Great, thank you. Counselor Ryuda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have actually nothing to update at this time, other than to make it known that I will be unavailable due to a business commitment for the January 20th meeting.
Great. Let us know close if there's anything you want, any agenda items, anything you want us to read or state, let us know. Thank you. Counselor Marquis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I, over the holidays, getting together with some other citizens, some folks asked me, like, so you're on council now, what is the biggest issue facing Scappoose? And I have my own, aspirational visions for what Scappoose could develop into. But I think that the main thing was that we have a budget shortfall that's pretty significant every year. And the question that they have was, well, what's changed? You have, you've got a war, like you've got $10 million in the bank or whatever. How has this come to pass that we're now $1 million in the red every year? So I don't know. I suppose this is something that we'll probably dig into at the retreat, but that's just something that I was wondering about. And I suppose that maybe it has something to do with COVID era funding drying up, or perhaps deferred maintenance or deferred, improvements that where prior governments just happened to value saving more than investing in what we had going on. But anyway, if anybody has any insight on any of that, I'm curious to know what exactly has changed and why we're in such a dire situation.
Councilor Markey, you can come in and talk to me and we can go over the budget and kind of explain, because it's not the entire budget. We're parceled into like 7 different businesses. So understanding maybe a little bit of how the budget setup could help you understand, at least answer that question. I could see about getting some historical context from before I was here as well to answer some of the prior. But thanks.
Like, things as well. Thank you, Councilor Haugen.
Yes, first, a hearty and healthy 2026 and productive 2026 to everyone. I think it's going to be quite an exciting year. So that's something to look forward to. And then just a quick note, I spent Saturday night and went over to Whoville, like as John did the other time, and talked with Janet, and they had over 7,000 visitors recorded as of Saturday night. And the best part about it is, which we haven't done for our other festivals, is they've recorded the numbers and locations of where they came from. So I think that would be neat to map out, assuming we can put it into a spreadsheet and get Marty to geocode the addresses, and we could just pop out a map. And they, when I was there was a couple with their children from Rhode Island, and then there was a couple from Kuwait. So I'm going, whoa, this is impressive, but over 7,000. So we can march forward with that with a lot of pride.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help out with that. And I was thinking about that too with some of these other things that JJ was talking about. It would be trivial to find zip codes for the dates for people from outside the area for those 2 dates, so we would know where folks are coming from outside the baseline for Scappoose for there.
It'd be interesting to know how much money we're spending now on people that are coming from out there. which is still great, bringing them to our city. They go use our store, they use our gas, pay our gas tax and all that. But it is interesting to see how many people, all they do is have you write number in your party and where you're from. And I've seen them from all over, quite a ways away, and it's neat to see people are coming to visit. Yeah, they did good. I think over 700 one night. I mean, they did really well.
Impressive.
Thank you.
That's it.
Counselor Holmes.
No formal updates, but also want to extend a happy 2026 to staff and council. And do want to just take a minute to acknowledge the volunteers in the community. JJ does a lot with the events through the parks, Whoville, Janet and the Historical Society, and the City Club with the light display. I mean, I think this season in particular, we really see the impact of community involvement and those who give the city their time. So just want to have a moment of appreciation for them.
Thank you. Counselor Santiago.
Thank you. And to add also the stars, right? The one the Dave and the staff put up, it's really nice. I really don't have any updates. Happy again, belated happy holidays. And Halloween Town started small and now look what it is. So it can be like that for us as well. So. Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll continue on that again. Great Whoville again this year and community event, Christmas tree lighting, everything was great. I do want to thank staff. It's great staff. They make this job that we do a lot easier. They have amazing staff reports, answer all of our questions, and really appreciate it. And then thank all the volunteers, like Counselor Holmes had said, without them stepping up and getting involved, very hard on our limited staff to be able to do that. So it's nice having the community step up and run these great events that we keep hearing about and going to. So you mentioned CET. We'll keep you apprised on that as we go forward. And meeting adjourned.